I'm deeply hurt and unable to move forward after discovering that my fiancé had an affair with my sister. Jake, my fiancé of 7 years, and I have been inseparable since our university days. Our journey continued post-graduation, leading us to share a flat we purchased together 2 years ago. Last summer, he proposed, and our wedding plans were set for July 2017. Our relationship had been smooth sailing until recently. On the other hand, my sister, whom we'll call Sarah, has always been a tumultuous presence in my life. Despite my childhood adoration for her, Sarah's upbringing was marred by personal struggles, contrasting starkly with my own. Our parents, grappling with financial hardship and marital discord, inadvertently fostered an environment where Sarah's issues festered. She clung to a toxic relationship with her boyfriend since adolescence, marked by frequent breakups, passionate reconciliations, and volatile outbursts. Their dysfunctional dynamic often spilled over, leaving my family and me to navigate the fallout of Sarah's emotional turmoil. I vividly recall nights spent consoling her through tears and tantrums, enduring her self-destructive tendencies and occasional outbursts directed at us. Despite numerous attempts to intervene, Sarah remained ensnared in a cycle of dependency, unable to break free from the grip of her toxic relationship. 2 months ago, however, her boyfriend abruptly ended their tumultuous affair, severing all ties and leaving Sarah adrift. His sudden departure plunged her into a spiral of despair, prompting her to seek refuge at our parents' home. Witnessing her descent into despair, I made frequent visits after work, grappling with the extremes of her emotional turmoil, from explosive rage to despondent silence. Concerned for her well-being, we collectively intervened, urging her to seek professional help, a suggestion I had long advocated for. Of course, she backed out days before her appointment, and there were no consequences. She is, after all, a grown woman. She just hasn't changed emotionally in the entire time I've known her and still acts like a teenager. 2 days ago, I went to visit Sarah, who was in bed in her darkened room. I let myself in and attempted to speak to her, telling her about my day at work. She immediately exploded, screaming at me, throwing her pillows across the room, crying uncontrollably. She told me life was unfair, that I had everything and she was left alone to rot, that everything wrong in her life was because she was a bad person. She hurt her boyfriend, she drove him away, she's ruined our family, she fucked Jake, and didn't even feel guilty at the time. I initially thought I'd misheard her, but then she said it again. It was like she had poured a bucket of ice water over me. I silently left, shaking. When I got home, Jake was there watching TV. It came out of my mouth the second I saw him, and I could see in his eyes it was true. He broke down and told me it had happened 3 years ago. Sarah had had another blazing row with her boyfriend and decided to drive round to Jake's looking for me. I was at our parents' at the time, and Jake attempted to pacify Sarah. He comforted her while she sobbed in his arms, and one thing led to another. They had sex. I packed an overnight bag while he followed me from room to room, sobbing and telling me it was the worst mistake of his life, that he still has no idea how it happened, that he felt unbelievably guilty the second it was over, that it feels like it wasn't even real. I left him in the doorway, begging me not to leave. I've checked into a hotel and have switched my phone off. I don't know what to do, who to tell, where to begin. I feel sick, like this is a bad dream. My heart feels like it's been ripped into a million pieces. For all of Sarah's faults, I love her more than anything. It's the two people who are more to me than anyone else in the world. How the fuck do I move on from this? I feel like I'm in a bubble. I don't know what's going on in the outside world. All I do is cry and sleep in this room. Someone please help me make sense of this. Update. It has only been a day or so since I made my post, but it feels like I'd been in that hotel room for weeks, crying in the dark, buried under the covers. At some point this morning, I decided to draw the curtains open and let the sunlight in. I went and sat on the balcony and switched my phone on for the first time. It started ringing within 30 seconds. It was my mother, who burst into tears as soon as I answered. Her and my parents had obviously been desperately worried. This is the longest I have ever gone without contact, and had even contemplated calling the police had I failed to contact them by this evening. My mom informed me that as I was walking out of Sarah's room, down the stairs and out the front door, Sarah was screaming and wailing that she's sorry. Funnily enough, I didn't hear this. I don't know how. I think I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't process anything around me. Honestly, I can't even remember the drive home. After I shut the door behind me, my mom, who was the only other person at home, rushed into Sarah's room to find her trashing her room and attempting to slash her wrists with a blunt lino cutter of all instruments. Sarah used to do a lot of art. Obviously, this barely caused a scratch, but jump-started my mom into action. She drove Sarah to the hospital, where I understand she underwent some sort of assessment and was kept overnight. She has, incredibly, agreed to undergo treatment for whatever it is that is wrong with her. My mom was surprised she was so complacent on the drive down, willingly entering the car and saying nothing other than asking where I am. Sarah seems resigned and completely deflated. My mom spoke to me at length for the first time in my life about the hardships they had undergone during Sarah's childhood. I am unwilling to go into detail and am still in shock about some of the things I heard. Sarah is not devoid of responsibility. She has long surpassed the age where she can blame her childhood for her behavior, but my mom admitted through tears that not sending her to therapy at an early age was the biggest regret of her life so far. I asked my mom if she knew why I had left. She admitted that she had known since Sarah's ex left 2 months ago. At this point, I had to struggle not to hang up, and I suddenly felt myself going back into that pit, but she begged me to listen. After her ex Harry, I am too drained to invent a name, hi, Harry, left, Sarah told my mom exactly what had happened. It was not the reason for Harry's departure, although he did know about it. Rather, he had had enough of being Sarah's carer, and years of begging her to seek help had fallen on deaf ears one too many times. When Sarah informed my mom told Sarah I have to know immediately. Sarah refused to tell me, and I still don't know why she changed her mind in that moment. My dad doesn't know for anyone wondering and thinks I've left, as I've also finally had enough of Sarah's behavior. Now here is where the home truths came out. I asked my mom if she knew the details. She was reluctant to tell me anything, stating that it had happened and that was all I needed to know. But I told her I refused to step foot in the house until I knew everything. She then proceeded to tell me that a few months before they slept together, Sarah and Jake had kissed at my dad's 60th birthday party. It was a large family gathering with a lot of alcohol involved. I remember Jake getting very drunk with my cousins. Sarah had a crying tantrum prior to arriving as her and Harry had an argument and he refused to come. She called me sobbing before she arrived. At some point during the night, Jake asked her if she was okay and hugged her, and once again, one thing led to another, and they shared a kiss in the kitchen. Sarah told my mom that they were both immediately remorseful and vowed never to speak of it again, but Sarah deliberately sought him out the night they slept together, knowing he was unlikely to turn her down. She openly admitted she did it to get back at Harry, who had cheated on her during one of their many infamous breaks. I don't think I even entered her thoughts. At this point, I'd heard enough. We'd spoken on the phone for over 4 hours, and I felt mentally drained and physically sick. Any hope I had of salvaging my relationship with Jake has completely gone. I feel the last 3 years have been tainted by their betrayal. And the many years before that, I wonder, did he like Sarah this whole time? Part of me doesn't even want to know. It's worth noting he has made absolutely no attempt to contact me other than a single text stating, "I'm sorry, take as long as you need." As if it's inevitable, I will come back to him. Things are still up in the air. I don't feel ready to check out of the hotel as I don't know where I'm going to go next. I feel my relationship with my mom has been rocked by these revelations. I don't know what's going to become of Sarah. I have no idea what I'm going to do about me and Jake's flat, where I'm going to live. I don't even know if I have a job anymore. I just haven't showed up to work. But I know the truth, and the smallest part of me is grateful for that. The rest of me is consumed by a pain I never imagined possible. I guess there's nothing else to do now except wait and see how things unfold. But reading through your comments and messages have been more help than you can imagine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for anyone who has ever experienced symptoms like Sarah's, or has been around someone who is so visibly troubled, I beg of you, seek help before it's too late. Final update. Hello everyone, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to provide a final update following the overwhelming support and messages I've received over the past few days, particularly during the holiday season. Your kindness and empathy have meant the world to me, and I want to express my deepest gratitude for each message, offer of assistance, and gesture of support. I apologize for not being able to respond to every message individually. The past few weeks have been quite overwhelming. After the revelation from my conversation with my mom, where I learned she had known about Jake and Sarah, I found myself back at square one. I decided to disconnect once more, retreating into the solitude of my hotel room for an additional 5 days. Regarding my mom's knowledge of Jake and Sarah's relationship, it's important to clarify that she wasn't aware from the beginning. Sarah confided in her around the time of Harry's sudden departure, which was a couple of months before I found out. Eventually, I mustered the courage to reach out to work. Surprisingly, my boss was understanding, having been informed by my mom about the family emergency. He advised me to take the rest of the week off, but mentioned a potential meeting if I needed more time off. Returning home, I found Sarah also present, but emotionally distant in her room. After a heartfelt conversation, it became evident that Sarah is likely struggling with borderline personality disorder, BPD. Despite my lingering resentment, I recognize that Jake bears significant responsibility for his actions, having witnessed Sarah's struggles firsthand. My dad, newly informed of the situation, provided support by gathering some of my belongings from my apartment. Jake's whereabouts remain unknown, and there has been no attempt at contact from his end. As for my social circle, I've begun sharing fragments of the truth with friends, although the specifics remain undisclosed. Navigating through this ordeal, I alternate between seeking solace at my parents' home and confronting painful memories at my apartment. While the pain persists, moments of familial togetherness offer some respite. As we watched movies on Christmas Day, the phrase "La familia es todo" resonated deeply with me, serving as a reminder of the importance of family during difficult times. Though the ache in my heart persists, I find solace in the belief that healing is possible. While the journey ahead is daunting, I am filled with newfound determination and confidence that I will emerge stronger from this experience. Okay, next story. My husband expelled me from our house because I invited his mother over. My husband and I have celebrated 6 years of marriage. He's always been the life of the party, bringing laughter and joy into our lives. Yet his family background has been a mystery to me. His father passed away when he was young, and his relationship with his mother is distant. A few months ago, I took it upon myself to search for his mother on social media and reached out to her. Surprisingly, she responded, and we quickly formed a connection. She lives nearby and had been keeping tabs on her son through social media. As our friendship blossomed, I shared details of our life together with her. Curiosity led me to inquire about the rift between her and my husband. She admitted fault without divulging specifics, expressing her remorse. I proposed facilitating a reconciliation between them, and after some reluctance, she agreed. Despite my efforts to broach the subject with my husband, he avoided discussing his mother or their strained relationship. Updating his mother on our progress, I eventually decided to orchestrate a surprise reunion, hoping to mend their bond. Inviting her over before my husband returned from work seemed like a harmless plan, albeit met with some hesitation from her. I reassured her, convinced that any initial shock would dissipate in the warmth of reconciliation. However, reality proved otherwise. Upon my husband's arrival, the unexpected encounter triggered a vehement reaction. He lashed out at his mother, demanding her immediate departure, leaving me stunned. Despite explaining my intentions, he remained stoic and distant, instructing me to leave as well. Seeking solace with my sister, attempts to reach out to him were futile, met with silence. His mother, once a confidant, now echoed his disappointment, questioning my actions and lack of communication with him. Regret weighs heavily on me as I acknowledge my misjudgment and the profound impact of my actions. Desperate for reconciliation, I yearn to apologize to my husband and understand the depth of his estrangement from his mother. Comments? Commenter. It appears you exhibit manipulative tendencies and dishonesty, lacking an understanding of personal boundaries. Despite facing the imminent possibility of divorce, you persist in seeking information about a matter entirely unrelated to you. Your behavior indicates a profound disregard for decency. Even your estranged mother chooses to distance herself from you, highlighting the severity of your actions. It's time to mature and reflect on your conduct. Commenter. Your intrusion into this deeply personal matter is staggering, yet you seem to feel entitled to demand an explanation. Let's be clear, this is not your trauma to unravel. Your husband is an independent adult with the right to establish his own boundaries. If you lacked faith in his judgment, you shouldn't have committed to marriage. Instead of respecting his autonomy, you interfered, eroded trust, and disregarded his experiences. He expected a partner, not an intrusive manipulator. Understanding the details isn't your prerogative. It's not your place to assess the severity of the situation or insist on comprehension. Your sole duty was to trust him, but your actions revealed a lack of commitment to that fundamental principle of partnership. Consequently, if you've lost him, it's a consequence you've brought upon yourself. Commenter: consider initiating a conversation with your husband about attending marriage counseling together. Acknowledge the significant breach of trust you've caused and recognize that rebuilding that trust may take time, if it's possible at all. Additionally, it's crucial for you to seek individual therapy to explore the underlying reasons for your actions and understand why you would betray someone you profess to love. If your husband is unwilling to participate in marriage counseling and decides to end the relationship, it's essential for you to prioritize your own emotional well-being by seeking therapy independently. Regardless of the outcome of your marriage, addressing these issues through therapy can help you heal and grow. Update 1. Hey guys! My original post and account got nuked, and I can't find them anymore. If someone can find my original post, I'll add it in an edit. The last weeks have been rough, but we might be okay. Hubby opened up about the reason he cut off his mother, and many of you were right. It was S3 sexual abuse. Not from his mother, but his stepfather. They were engaged, and his mom was pregnant with his child when the guy started giving my husband attentions. Husband went to his mom, but she shut him down, accusing him of being jealous and wanting to spoil her happiness. This went on until his mother came home from work unexpectedly and walked in on the guy giving attention to my husband. She kicked him out, pressed charges, and annulled their engagement, but the damage was done and my husband no longer trusted her. She also lost the baby due to stress, and although she never blamed my husband for it, he felt it was his fault. All this felt like a gut punch for me. First for what he went through, and then because now I am the person who shattered his trust. He said he did consider divorce over this, but pretty bluntly said that he thinks my actions were out of stupidity rather than malice, and he wants to work things out. I am committed to do my best to become a better and safe partner for him. I know I have this stupid and selfish tendency to think that I often know better than him. But I have to get over it because it hurt him massively and almost imploded our relationship. I don't want to be another person he trusted and ended up hurting him. He also decided to reach out to his mom and start talking to her again. He's not sure they can repair the relationship, but he wants for both of them to find some closure. Update 2. Greetings, everyone. For those who may have missed it, you can catch up on the continuation of our story in my previous post. Thankfully, my husband's condition has improved, and our relationship is gradually returning to its former state. I acknowledge that repairing the damage I caused will be a lengthy process, but I am fully committed to granting him all the time he needs and fulfilling any requests he may have. Ironically, throughout this ordeal, my husband confided in me his contemplation of reconnecting with his mother, but under his own terms and timeline. By acting without his knowledge, I nearly jeopardized the opportunity for reconciliation and jeopardized our marriage. Recognizing the gravity of my actions, I am actively working on self-improvement and have scheduled sessions with a therapist starting next month to ensure such a breach of trust never recurs. Moreover, with my husband's approval, I extended a heartfelt apology to my mother-in-law for misleading her with false assurances, and she graciously forgave me. Subsequently, my husband and mother-in-law have initiated conversations and have met publicly a few times. Just yesterday, my husband extended an invitation for her to join us for dinner, signaling a collective effort to commence anew. She has displayed genuine eagerness to mend her relationship with him and to acquaint herself with me. My husband emphasizes the need for us all to acclimate to one another initially before he and his mother address their shared traumas. He refrains from vilifying her, acknowledging her remorse and absolving her of any blame for the miscarriage. In contrast, my mother-in-law is deeply contrite, as per my husband's assessment, and harbors no resentment toward him regarding the loss. Meanwhile, I remain on the sidelines, diligently endeavoring to rebuild trust with my husband and evolve into a more supportive and dependable partner. Thankfully, my husband has resumed displaying affection towards me, and we have escaped the precariousness of our earlier situation. However, I cannot shake the realization that my misguided actions nearly cost me the love of my life, all because of my misplaced confidence in knowing what was best for him. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.